you. And I called Marvin and told him, hey, he's in the car, he's not getting out, I'm bringing him over.
Bring it, let's go, start the car, let's go, I'm ready.
He wasn't gonna back down from Marvin. You know, he didn't mind confronting him and just being like, what's your problem? And we believe that's why he willingly got into that car with Jade to ride over the house.
But when they arrived in Deltona, Joel never could have anticipated the fury that awaited him.
Joel was walking basically into a trap.
When I pulled up to the driveway, Marvin was already in the driveway.
It was such a quick and brutal attack.
You didn't even give him a chance to defend himself.
In June of 2023, accused killer Jade Caparelli is finally giving a confession regarding the events that took the life of her boyfriend, 30-year-old Joel Cosby.
She admits she drove him to her home in Deltona, Florida, where she lived with her other boyfriend, Marvin.
The intention was for Marvin to beat Joel up.
But Jade claims she never anticipated what happened next.
Marvin opened his door, he hit him.
You didn't even give him a chance to defend himself. You know, you had to surprise him with the attack.
As far as I could see, I thought they were just fighting.
According to her, it just looked like Marvin was hitting Joel.
Joel tried to get away from the attack, but it was such a quick and brutal attack that Marvin met him over there and continued outside on the ground.
Jade says once she realized what was really going on, she was paralyzed by fear.
It's possible that our victim wasn't even able to scream. If his lungs had been punctured and his neck was stabbed so many times, it's possible that he couldn't even make a sound at that point.
But eventually, the severity of Joel's injuries was clear.
I saw Joel was bleeding, you know. I mean, I watched Joel die. And in my mind, like, I was like, I want to help him, but I didn't. I panicked.
It's kind of shocking that there were no witnesses to this crime, considering this all happened in the driveway.
Let's keep in mind this happens, you know, in the early hours of the morning. There's not really a lot of traffic on the roadways. There's not a ton of exterior lights or street lights or really anything like that in the area that would have just like lit this place up.
Jade says once Joel was dead, Marvin started giving her orders.
Marvin was like, you know, just be quiet, just get in your car, follow me. I watched him pull Joel into the car, and I followed him. And he went out to Geneva. I don't remember exactly where we were.
She waited in the car for Marvin while he took off all of Joel's clothes, leaving him naked, and disposed of his body by the side of the road.
Marvin then put Joel's bloody clothes into the back of Jade's car, which would explain the blood evidence police later found.
Follow me back to the house, okay?
Okay.
Did you ever see what he was stabbing him with?
No, he got rid of that. When he threw away all his clothes, he threw that in the trash too. Like, he literally put all that stuff in the trash, and the trash people took it.
In the following days, the couple worked tirelessly to erase the rest of the evidence.
He didn't die from a single stab wound. There was a lot of blood in the driveway.
In order to cover it up, they even bought red mulch in order to soak up some of that blood.
They thought it would blend in and they could easily help dispose of that large amount of blood evidence that was there. But it didn't work.
Damn it, man. Well, let's just throw this on the tree and figure something else out.
He went and rented one of the pressure washers. He pressure washed the driveway, and after he finished, it just looked like, you know, every other driveway with oil stains in it.
Then there was the issue of the two cars, which both had blood evidence inside.
They bought the cleaning supplies from Walmart and attempted to clean the blood from the back seat of Jade's car.
What are we gonna do about your car?
But when it came to Marvin's car, they had to devise a new plan.
There was so much blood in the Ford that there was no way they could clean it up.
So they decided to drive it to Lake County and set it on fire.
Is there anything else you think we really need to know that maybe we didn't ask you?
No.
That'll conclude it. It is approximately 2:19 p.m., 19 hours. With Jade's cooperation in the prosecution against Marvin, we had a tight case.
Armed with Jade's statement, prosecutors enter Marvin's June 2024 trial feeling fully prepared.
Detectives from both Volusia and Seminole County testify at the trial and weave the tapestry for how this murder occurred.
According to the prosecution, Marvin was a cold and calculated killer.
Marvin was at the house waiting. So Joelle was showing up to an ambush, attacker laying in wait with a knife.
It would lead one to believe that, in this case, Marvin Bryant had a lot of time to think about what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it.
In his assault, Marvin stabbed Joelle over 45 times wherever he could. Head, neck, and torso.
To support their claims, prosecutors called Jade Caparelli to the stand.
Jurors hear about Jade's on-again, off-again relationships with Joelle and with Marvin.
She recites the same account to jurors as she did in her recorded confession.
It was a very strong case going to prosecution, even without her statement or without her cooperation.
During cross-examination, Marvin's defense team doesn't go easy on Jade.
They essentially pinned the case back on Jade, and that he was just helping her and he was just kind of standing by.
However, the jury isn't buying it.
Jurors find Marvin guilty of first-degree murder. He's ultimately sentenced to life in prison.
Marvin didn't really show much reaction to anything going on. He just sat there watching.
He wasn't, say, remorseful. I just feel like he realized how stupid what he did was. And the fact that, like, my life is over.
In exchange for her testimony, Jade is granted the plea deal she was initially promised.
She pled and accepted a reduced charge of second-degree murder, and she was sentenced to 35 years in prison. She gets credit for time served, and she has to serve roughly 80% of that time.
It was definitely a case where, no one like that needs to be free at all. But I believe it was some justice served.
Though Joelle's killers are now behind bars, it doesn't ease the pain of this truly senseless murder.
At the end of the day, the contempt, the deception, the lack of transparency all led to this deadly recipe that cost Joelle Cosby his life.
Now, not only is his daughter without a father, your daughter will never be able to see you ever again. You ruined your life just as much as you ruined all of these other people's lives.
However, through their grief, Joelle's family has found strength in their memories of him.
We do go through pictures, or my brother might have me listening to some of their old music that they made together, sharing positive stories about him. We do all of that to try to keep his memory alive. I think it's a good thing for his legacy to be told, because we really do miss him.
They were a couple who had it all.
Hey! Their marriage was always something special. They'd built a successful business.
They were living out their dreams.
Until one day, she didn't come home.
A shopping trip with her best friend has ended in a mystery.
Both women are missing.
Their vanishing leaves the whole community desperate for answers.
To have two people disappear is very unusual. There was a lot of fear. It was on every news channel. Could Peachtree City have had an actual murder?
The answer is yes.
They found the van at the airport.
The bodies of both women are in the back.
And as investigators search for a motive, the facade begins to fall.
The storage unit was filled with cocaine.
She found out about the affair. He ended up bugging the phone.
She was done.
But will the truth ever be revealed?
She was beaten to death.
There was a gunshot wound to her head.
He fought for his life.
The way that they told the story, it made you wonder, could it have happened another way?
November 16th, 1995. It's a chilly fall Thursday in Peachtree City, Georgia, a quiet suburban community a half-hour southwest of Atlanta.
Peachtree City was and is an affluent community. It has been ranked many times as among the most desirable places to live by Money Magazine.
You're close to Atlanta, but you also live away from some of the chaos that comes along with a big city.
But local resident Ray Little is deeply troubled when he walks into the Peachtree City Police Department early that afternoon.
He's there to report his girlfriend, Halima Jones, missing.
When was the last time you saw her?
It was yesterday.
Ray tells police that Halima has gone out shopping with her best friend, Ruby Joyner. But she did not return home last night.
I've been trying to call her, but it keeps going over the voicemail.
Even more worrying was the phone call Ray received a little before noon.
He gets a call from Ruby's husband, Lewis.
Hey, Ray, you seen Ruby?
He indicated that he had not heard from Ruby or Halima either. It appears that both women are missing.
Ruby Joyner was originally from rural South Carolina.
We're from a small little town that just got a stoplight maybe 5 years ago.
But as she got older, Ruby saw herself living a much bigger life.
She had decided that she really wanted to pursue a career in tech, which at that time was really a big deal. It was much newer.
Ambitious and fearless, in 1971, Ruby chased her dreams all the way to New York City.
She was determined to do whatever she wanted to do.
She enrolled in an executive training program with IBM.
Not only did the move jumpstart her career, it also led her to the love of her life.
She met Lewis Joyner, who is a very successful computer programmer. The two bonded over computers and technology.
But there was more to Lewis than just writing code.
He was not just smart, he was also charismatic. She loved the way he presented himself.
A native New Yorker, Lewis had grown up in Harlem.
He was kind of a straight-talking New Yorker. Not a tough guy, but someone who was no bull kind of guy.
And if he saw something he wanted, he went after it.
Think we can take you out to get a drink later?
I'd love that.
One date led to another. And before long, the couple had created a beautiful life together.
They were married and settled in the city.
Their marriage was always something special.
They were very excited because they were actually both living out their dreams.
And by the early 90s, the ambitious couple was ready for a new challenge and a new city, Atlanta.
It was really a great place for Black professionals.
There was a major boom of folks migrating from New York City down to Atlanta in the 90s. And many of these people were establishing businesses.
They landed in Peachtree City and bought a beautiful home.
Soon after arriving, the Joyners opened their own business, one that capitalized on the steady flow of people arriving in the booming southern metropolis.
They decided to start a moving and storage company. Lewis ran the business while Ruby helped in the office.
Hey, babe.
Hey, how did it go?
Really, really good. And we got their friends we're moving in a couple of weeks as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, the information is on there.
Awesome. I will call them tomorrow and confirm everything. All right. Love you.
Within a few years, the business was booming.
They grew it to $2.3 million. That was super huge.
They had come to Atlanta and they had made it.
They were one of the fastest growing Black businesses in the whole United States.
The couple's business wasn't all that was thriving either.
Well, Atlanta is not just a great place for your career. It is also a wonderful place to socialize. And they quickly figured out that that was also important to them. And so they actually joined a social club. And that is where Ruby met Halima.
Halima was divorced with 2 children and worked in education. She was a middle school principal.
Ruby and Lewis both became good friends with Halima and her boyfriend, Ray Little.
Ruby and Halima bonded over their love of fashion.
They would shop together a lot and really just hang out and have a good time.
But now, their latest outing has ended in mystery.
According to her boyfriend, Ray, Halima hadn't come home last night.
At first, I thought they were out late. Then I get a call from her husband.
He was shocked to wake up and find that she still was not home.
Do you have any idea where they went yesterday?
I think so. She was talking.
Halima wanted to go to a particular store.
Okay, and you were sure they were just going shopping?
Police do have to consider that maybe they made a choice to leave for some reason.
But Ray is sure that's not the case.
She had 2 young children that she really loved and cared for. They were her world.
Ray said that Halima would never just disappear.
But would Ruby's husband say the same about his wife?
After Ray filed that missing persons report, the detectives assigned to the case reached out to Louis Joyner.
Hello?
When detectives reached out to Louis, he was actually in New York.
Yeah, I've been really worried about her.
When did you last see her?
Yesterday.
The detectives asked Louis when he left for New York.
I just flew out this morning.
Why would a man leave town while his wife is missing?
Ruby Joyner and her husband Louis had built a beautiful life together.
They started out with just a simple moving and storage company that grew a super huge business.
They were living in the Atlanta suburb of Peachtree City and were happy.
But now, detectives are trying to find Ruby and her close friend, Halima Jones.
Halima's boyfriend, Ray Little, had gone to the police and reported her and Ruby missing.
The story was that these women had gone shopping and that they had disappeared.
However, when the detectives follow up with Ruby's husband, Louis, things take an unexpected turn.
When did you leave Atlanta?
I just flew out this morning.
Why would a man leave town while his wife is missing?
Louis insisted that it was a very important business trip and he couldn't miss it. He had really kind of been scrambling to get ready and had not put a lot of thought into kind of the current circumstance.
Yeah, I just figured Ruby
had spent the night out with Halima.
Louis says that once he had gotten to New York and still couldn't reach Ruby, he called Ray.
He said that it wasn't until he spoke to Ray and learned that Halima had not come home either that he actually started getting worried.
He said since he was out of town, he asked Ray to go to the police.
He thought that it would be more effective for it to be done in person opposed to him just doing it over the phone.
Okay, so I take it you haven't found them?
Not as of yet.
Okay. I'll try and get the next flight back home.
Thank you.
Once off the phone with Louis, the detectives begin searching for the missing women.
Investigators start the investigation by going to the mall.
They were believed to be traveling there on the night that they were last seen.
But when they get there, they ask around, and none of the employees had seen Halima and Ruby.
The mall an apparent dead end. The detectives hit several other shopping centers in the area.
Once again, the detectives come up empty-handed.
No one remembers seeing them.
The detectives are really wondering if the ladies did, in fact, even go shopping that day.
But if Ruby and Halima hadn't gone shopping, where did they go?
At that point, they decide that it's probably best that they start to expand their search.
The investigators alerted their counterparts in Atlanta and other surrounding communities.
They issue a public statement to the media asking for any information.
They said to be on the lookout for 2 women. And they also gave the description of Halima's blue van.
It was not implying foul play, but anybody could read it between the lines that there might be foul play.
The public is on high alert as news of the missing women spreads through Peachtree City.
The disappearance of 2 women who were residents was big news and unusual. One of the big attractions to Peachtree City was its low crime rate. So people had a sense of security. And so when these 2 women disappeared, it was scary to people.
With fear in the community growing, the detectives bring in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation assists local law enforcement agencies. And at this time, the Peachtree City Police Department wasn't a large department, and so we were contacted for our experience.
While the investigation gathers momentum, Lewis contacts Ruby's family in South Carolina with the news that she and her friend Halima are missing.
My gut told me something had happened to both of them.
It was totally unlike Ruby to just disappear.
Whatever happened, Ruby's family is determined to find her.
We all got in cars and came to Atlanta, and we went out. We went looking.
But as Ruby's family joins the search, the detectives are starting to suspect this case won't have a happy ending.
Since Ruby and Halima were supposedly going shopping, the detectives pulled their bank records and credit card statements.
But there was not any indication that the 2 had made any purchases.
This is alarming for the police at this point.
Something bad has happened to these women.
And there's no trace of the missing women until November 21st, 1 week after they disappeared.
A security guard spotted a van that matched Halima's in the long-term lot at Atlanta's Hartsfield Airport.
He approaches the van with a flashlight.
And when he shines the light inside, he makes a horrific discovery.
He sees a mound covered by a blanket.
And then he sees what he believes to be a foot sticking out.
One week after Halima Jones's boyfriend reported her and her friend Ruby Joyner missing, a security guard has located Halima's van in the long-term parking lot of the Atlanta airport.
And when he looked inside the van, he saw there was something in the back, covered by a blanket.
A foot can be seen sticking out from under the blanket.
Call 911. Send police here now. Long-term parking, row F.
Law enforcement floods the scene within minutes.
Atlanta police, Peachtree City police, and GBI all arrive on the scene.
After a week of searching, the 2 women's whereabouts is no longer a mystery.
Both Halima Jones and Ruby Joyner were located inside the vehicle.
The bodies of both women are piled together, covered by a very large blanket.
They were obviously victims of a murder. Because of the state of the bodies. It was determined they had been dead for several days.
They were probably killed the night they went missing.
but they died in very different ways.
Halima had a singular shot to the back of the head.
Outside of the gunshot wound, her body was essentially pristine.
Whereas Ruby had been badly beaten.
She had facial contusions, blackened eyes.
Bruising on her neck also indicates that Ruby had been strangled.
It is remarkable that the two bodies were in completely different states. That's kind of a head scratcher.
Even more puzzling, there's evidence to suggest that the women may have been killed in a different location.
Ruby is covered in vegetation. It looks like she was dragged through some underbrush.
There was also signs of a struggle.
Ruby had on a camisole top, which was a little bit strange for that time of year, but it also looked as though there was the cuff of a black sweater around her wrist,
which suggested that the killer ripped off her sweater during the struggle.
But beyond that, the van offers little in the way of evidence.
There were no shell casings, there were no fingerprints, and there was no DNA evidence.
While the medical examiner's team removes the bodies for autopsy, the detectives contact Ruby and Halima's families.
We got a call like in the middle of the night, probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. They asked us if we can come to the police department. They didn't give us any information over the phone.
It's only when they're face to face that the detectives break the devastating news that both women were dead.
The whole thing was just it was just unreal. It's like something that you see on TV. It wouldn't happen to you. It happens to somebody else. This doesn't happen to my family. It doesn't happen to someone that we love. It was just hard. I hope to never have to feel what I felt that night ever again in my life.
The detectives also contact Halima's boyfriend, Ray Little.
Investigators asked him to come down to the station.
However, they were unable to get a hold of Ruby's husband, Lewis.
It was a big question mark. Where is he?
While the detectives try and fail to reach Lewis, the double murder becomes the top news story in Metro Atlanta.
It was on every news channel and covered extensively by the paper. There was a lot of fear that two women who seemed to be straight arrows could come to this kind of end.
When the detectives sit down with Ray later that day, it's obvious that he's already seen the headlines.
He's absolutely devastated that Ruby and Halima are both dead.
I don't understand, how could this happen?
He says that they were really well loved in the community. He could not think of anybody that would want to hurt either of them.
But investigators wonder if he knows more than he's letting on.
He was the one who reported the women missing, but it's not unheard of that perpetrators of crime do that to try to take the heat off.
The last time you seen Halima was last Wednesday.
Yeah, like I told you.
And Ruby?
I don't know. A few days before.
But when police ask about his and Halima's relationship, the conversation becomes awkward.
He started to get a little bit uncomfortable.
Is it something you're not telling us?
Well,
he ends up revealing that he and Halima have actually recently broken up.
And the reason sounds a lot like a motive.
He believed that she was having an affair.
Questioned about the murder of his girlfriend, Halima Jones, Ray Little has just revealed that they had recently split up because he believed she was having an affair.
According to Ray, Halima had always been very friendly with a coworker named Howard at her school. She would speak to Howard on the phone. He ended up bugging the phone and listening to Halima and Howard's conversation.
Was she cheating on you?
I don't know.
He doesn't really hear anything definitive.
Still, Ray says he'd confronted Halima about what he'd heard.
What'd she say?
She said I should mind my own business.
After that, she was done.
She broke up with him.
But when the detectives ask Ray if that caused bad blood between them, he denies it.
He said they were actually amicable after their breakup.
If Halima was seeing someone else, could he be responsible for the murders? Or had Ray's jealousy sent him into a rage?
Look, I had nothing to do with this.
Ray is adamant that he really loved Halima and he would never do anything to hurt her.
Ray also claims he was working the day the women disappeared. And when the detectives check, it seems he's telling the truth.
His supervisor confirmed he was at work.
So the detectives bring in Halima's friend, Howard Cunningham.
What?
He is absolutely stunned and horrified at the suggestion that he might have killed 2 women.
He also denies having an affair with Halima.
Howard was adamant that they did not have a romantic relationship.
When was the last time you saw her?
Wednesday afternoon, the 15th.
After school, they chatted briefly and then went their separate ways.
That Wednesday, of course, was the evening Halima and Ruby disappeared.
And what did you do after work that day?
I went home. You went home? I went home.
It may not be the most solid alibi, but at least Howard is cooperating.
Follow me out.
However, the investigators still cannot get a hold of Louis Joyner.
Investigators were very suspicious of him because of the circumstances of his departure.
Their suspicion of Louis deepening with each passing day. The detectives obtain a warrant to search the Joyners' home.
There was nothing particularly alarming.
But when they look through the books for Louis's business, something stands out.
Exactly what we were looking for.
The Joyners had been on the edge of bankruptcy for at least a few years.
Wow, that's it.
Could there be some correlation between all these debts and the murder?
With a hunch they're on the right track, the detectives next turn to a storage unit leased to Louis.
When they access the unit, they're surprised to find that it's filled with cocaine.
Had Louis turned to drug dealing to support his failing business.
Dealing drugs could provide a way for him to pay off some debts.
Got a lot in me.
We're gonna need crime scene tech out here.
But before detectives can even follow the lead about the bankruptcy and the drugs, they actually get a phone call.
Homicide.
The call is from a close friend of Ruby's.
She tells the detectives that Halima was indeed having an affair, but the affair was with Ruby's husband, Louis.
And according to her friend, Ruby found out.
Ruby was devastated.
Did she confront Louis about the cheating?
Ruby's friend did not know how Ruby planned to handle it.
Whether it was his drug dealing or the affair that triggered the murders, detectives believe Louis is the key to solving this case.
There was a nationwide manhunt to locate Louis.
When the drug evidence was found, a warrant had been placed for him.
And when they're contacted by a man in Atlanta named Gerald Douglas, the detectives sense they're closing in on the fugitive.
Gerald tells them that he and Louis have been friends for a very long time.
He says that he actually knows exactly what happened to Ruby and Halima.
The next morning, Gerald sits down with detectives.
Thank you for the welcome.
Oh, yeah, please have a seat.
He starts off by telling them that he'd seen Lewis less than 48 hours after Ruby and Halima disappeared.
Lewis Joyner wanted him to come to New York.
He told Gerald that he needed some help.
So you flew to New York?
Yeah. Like I said, I've known Lewis a long time.
Gerald says he'd met up with Lewis at a bar.
When he got there, Lewis told him that something bad had happened to Ruby and Halima.
He confessed.
He said he was responsible for murdering his wife.
But according to what Lewis told Gerald, he didn't kill Halima.
Okay, so who did?
He told me it was Ruby.
A close friend of Ruby Joyner's husband has just told the detectives investigating her murder that Lewis Joyner confessed to killing his wife.
However, he said that Lewis told him that Ruby had killed Halima.
Why would she do that?
He said she found out that him and Halima had been messing around.
And according to what Lewis told his friend, her rage over the affair had boiled over on the evening of November 15th.
The two women had gone shopping to the Shannon Mall and had arranged to meet Lewis Joyner for dinner, and in fact did so.
Then, after dinner, they'd all driven out to a wooded area near the Atlanta airport.
The three traveled into this noise abatement area in order for Lewis and Halima to consume some powder cocaine.
The women went in Halima's van.
While Lewis had driven separately.
But Lewis told his friend that once the three of them were alone, the impromptu party had taken an ugly turn.
Lewis told Gerald that Ruby pulled out a gun.
Ruby, what are you doing?
Like I don't know. Ruby is not.
Lewis said that she shot Halima Jones in the head.
He said that Ruby also tried to kill him.
She fired at him.
What are you doing? You're crazy.
Filled with sudden rage, Lewis wrestled the gun from her.
And then he killed her.
That's what he told me.
Lewis said that he pistol whipped her and beat her to death.
But does the fact that Ruby allegedly killed Halima mean what Lewis did was justified?
The injuries to Ruby Joyner is above and beyond anything that self-defense would require.
When you look at the autopsy report, Ruby was beaten extremely.
She had 23 breaks and fractures in her face. Her nose was broken, her eye socket was broken, her jaw was broken.
She was also strangled.
The medical examiner would call it rage overkill. It's probably the most significant intent you can actually have towards taking somebody's life. You want this person dead.
And he hadn't called Gerald because he wanted to confess his guilt. He wanted help getting away with it.
Lewis wanted him to return to this area around the Atlanta airport and essentially clean up the crime scene.
Lewis asked him to retrieve some things that he had left behind.
What sort of things?
He told me he lost his glasses.
Did you get him?
No.
Gerald said he refused to participate in helping Lewis.
But Gerald is prepared to help the police.
Gerald agreed to lead detectives to the location where Lewis told them the murders occurred.
We placed him in a vehicle and took him around areas of the Atlanta airport and attempted to locate the crime scene using a hand-drawn map that he had made when he had met with Joyner in New York.
When the detectives search the area, night has fallen.
We didn't know exactly where it was. We just kind of knew generally where it was going to be located. And we're examining the area with flashlights.
It's not long before the search reveals the first clues.
We started discovering shell casings up and down the street.
But it's not until the detectives find something else that they're sure they're in the right spot.
We found a sweater lying in the road.
It was a match for the torn cuff they found around Ruby's wrist.
They also find the items Lewis asked his friend to recover.
Items were found, including glasses that belonged to Halima Jones, and more significantly, a pair of prescription sunglasses that belonged to Louis Joyner.
But there's still no sign of Lewis until November 29th, when an NYPD officer is making rounds in a city housing project.
The New York Police Department do what they call vertical patrols. They patrol the stairwells and the rooftops of these buildings.
The officer encounters a man hanging around on the rooftop.
He was acting suspiciously. I think he was drunk.
Initially, he was just going to shoo him off the rooftop, but I think they did end up patting him down, and they found some cocaine on him.
And when the officer tries to cuff him, a struggle ensues.
They almost fell off a multi-story roof.
That was a very dangerous arrest that was made by the officer.
But it's only after they bring him in that the police realize just how dangerous the suspect is.
He was wanted for murder in Georgia.
A police officer in New York City has just unknowingly taken a wanted fugitive into custody. 48-year-old Louis Joyner.
He was originally arrested for possession of cocaine.
Once he was brought into the precinct, officers realized he was wanted in Georgia.
But by the next day, the news that there had finally been an arrest in the murders of Ruby Joyner and Halima Jones was all over Atlanta.
It was a pretty big story when he was arrested. He looked like he had been through it. He looked desperate, and everyone, of course, breathed a sigh of relief.
Although for Ruby's family, plenty of questions remain.
Even though it was over, we still didn't have the answers that we were looking for. We didn't know the why. Why did this happen? Did you really do this?
The detectives have similar questions.
We traveled to Harlem with a couple of New York City detectives and made contact with Louis Joyner at that precinct.
He invoked his Miranda rights, so he did not provide a statement to us.
So all the detectives had is the story Louis told his friend Gerald.
Not that they believe it.
The investigators charged Louis with both murders.
The police think Louis did the shooting and the beating.
Extradited back to Georgia, Louis stands trial for the double murder in August of 1996.
He'd lost a lot of weight. It just made him look very old, very fragile. It wasn't the same man that I knew.
While prosecutors don't know exactly what happened, they theorize the crime was motivated by Louis and Halima's affair.
Prosecutors based their theory off the belief that Ruby was the main target.
They assert that his plan was most likely to get Ruby out of the way so he could continue seeing Halima.
And after meeting them for dinner that night, he'd suggested the drive to a secluded spot near the airport.
What is this place?
Oh, this is where they tore down all the houses because it was too close to the airport.
It had been abandoned because there was so much noise that people just moved out, and it just was empty, paved streets, but no houses.
The story Louis told Gerald about going out there to snort cocaine may have been true.
But according to the prosecutors, that wasn't all Louis had in mind.
It was my belief that he's the one that introduced the weapon to the scene.
Louis, what are you doing?
I love you, Halima.
No!
And he tried to shoot Ruby and hit Halima instead.
Maybe Halima stepped in the way.
But Halima's sacrifice didn't save Ruby.
Ruby ran into the brush and he pursued her.
The shots all missed, which explained the multiple casings at the crime scene.
Then, his gun empty, Lewis tackled Ruby.
He beat her down with a gun.
He beat her and beat her and beat her until he probably so tired he couldn't beat her anymore. So he choked her.
My aunt's face was like something in a horror movie. I couldn't even actually recognize her. Who does that? And who does that to someone that you say you love?
There was no doubt Lewis had beaten Ruby to death.
He'd confessed to his friend Gerald.
We also found Lewis's prescription sunglasses. So that clearly placed him at the crime scene. And just the vicious nature of the beating. It was a horrendous interpersonal crime. It was someone who knew Ruby Joyner, and that person was her husband.
When it's the defense's turn, Lewis takes the stand to maintain his innocence.
He sticks to his self-defense claim.
Now, I'll be honest, the attorney he had was a very good attorney because the way that they told the story, it made you almost wonder, did it really happen this way? Or could it have happened another way? I couldn't stomach it, and I didn't know what the verdict was going to be.
But the jury doesn't believe his self-defense claim.
He's convicted for killing his wife, Ruby.
But the defense did raise reasonable doubt as to whether he killed Halima.
Lewis is acquitted of all charges connected to Halima's murder.
The prosecution had theories as to how the crime may have occurred, but there was no conclusive evidence to dictate to us what really happened.
The state just didn't have the evidence to prove that Lewis pulled the trigger.
However, the acquittal doesn't change his fate.
Lewis is sentenced to life in prison.
Thank God he doesn't have a chance of parole.
But to many, justice wasn't completely served.
Halima was having an affair, but certainly didn't deserve to die because of it.
She's got sons. Her sons were very young whenever she passed away. She was a human being. I think it's unfair that nobody paid the price for her life.
And having Lewis where he belongs doesn't take away the pain for Ruby's loved ones.
She didn't deserve her life to end like this. Because of my Uncle Lewis, we'll never be able to talk to her again, smile with her again, have another family reunion with her.
But Ruby will never be forgotten, and her family hopes that her story will caution others.
If you're going through relationship issues, you need to really have at least one person you can talk to, share things with, so that they can understand what's really going on. And my aunt didn't want our other family members to even know that there was issues in their marriage. And that's probably why we didn't know what was going on.
Pull that information out for me, okay?
Thank you.
She was a single empty nester, making a new beginning.
It's like your life restarts.
She's making moves. Things are happening for her.
A new city, a new job, and a new man.
Things are going very well. He's just what she needs.
She's successful, she's in love, everything falls in place.
But then she disappears without a trace.
You coming home tonight or what? Call when you get his message. Have you heard anything from her? Yes, sir.
Her SUV had been parked in the same spot, and that's what prompted him to call the police.
But he isn't the only one worried.
Her daughter hadn't heard from her in like 5 days.
She was afraid something like this might happen.
And the search for answers will reveal why.
He served more than 20 years in prison.
He had all these years to think about the mistakes that he had made.
You just simply can't get away with murder anymore.
November 10th, 2020. It's a busy Tuesday in Atlanta, Georgia, where life is just starting to return to normal after COVID-19 turned everything upside down.
The shutdown really impacted people and their feeling isolated and their connection to people. And then I noticed that folks were outside, at restaurants like life was normal again.
People were still cautious, but people were happy to get back out. And I think it was a big sigh of relief to be back into the world. People started to feel like themselves again.
But that afternoon, things still feel far from normal for Tracy Brock.
Tracy's kind of worried about her mom.
Tracy, who lives in Indiana, speaks to her mom, Shawn Macklin, in Atlanta almost every day.
I've been trying to reach you all weekend.
She considered her mom kind of like her best friend.
And now here we are in the pandemic, in the midst of it. She doesn't know what's happening. She can't get in touch with her mom.
Call me. Love you.
It's now been 5 days since they last spoke.
Tracy is concerned, so she calls and asks the police to go by there to do a welfare check.
Atlanta non-emergency, how can I help you?
Hello, I'm calling to request a welfare check on my mom. She has a broken foot.
Her mother had just hurt her foot, so she had a boot on her leg.
Tracy was concerned, had her mother fallen and couldn't get up?
I'm just worried.
"56-year-old Shawn Macklin had spent most of her life serving others.
Shawn was a compassionate person. She worked in healthcare. She dedicated her life in a field where she could help others.
Folks who work in healthcare love people. They love working with people.
But Shawn's greatest love was her daughter.
She was there for her family, and she was an amazing mother.
Mother and daughter were especially close.
She's like her best friend.
And once Tracy had moved out and started having kids of her own, Shawn was ready to make a big life change.
At 56, you can find yourself in limbo because no, you're not 20, but you're also not 80. You have a lot of life ahead of you. So now what do I do? Where's my place in the world?
The search took her to Atlanta.
She really wanted to kind of live and enjoy, independence. So she moved down to Atlanta.
She got a job as an office manager with a local healthcare company.
Hi, you have an appointment this morning?
I have an appointment.
But even with a new city and a new job, there's still something missing.
She's looking for a partnership, someone who can help make her feel more stable.
Okay, thank you so much.
Has anyone told you how infectious your smile is?
You can't say infectious in a doctor's office.
And in 2019, she met Bernard Stokes.
He's in his mid-50s, charismatic and charming.
Immediately, they hit it off. There's an instant attraction.
She's excited. Like, ooh, the potential is attractive.
My schedule's pretty flexible. Think you might want to meet me for some coffee?
I'd like that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That was probably exhilarating for her, and you fall really quick when that happens.
They get together and they start seeing each other. This is what Shawn has been waiting for.
And she wasn't about to wait any longer.
The two of them decided to take their relationship to the next level, and they moved in together. Bernard was a maintenance man for an apartment complex, and because of his job, he got an apartment.
He had his own place. She has a good job. He has a good job. So things are going very well for Shawn at this point.
She's successful. She's in love. She felt absolutely wonderful.
Okay.
But now Shawn's daughter has called the Atlanta police, worried about her mother.
When she called, she said that they usually talk every single day and she hadn't heard from her in like 5 days.
I'm afraid she might have fallen.
Her mother had recently fractured her foot and was wearing a boot on her leg.
With this boot on her foot, it's probably more challenging to move.
Her daughter said she would have checked on Sean in person, but she lives out of state.
And with the pandemic still a threat, her travel options are limited.
In November of 2020, even though the pandemic was kind of settling down, we were still in limbo in Atlanta. People were still dying because of COVID. It was still a very, very serious disease.
Not being able to see loved ones, not being able to see friends, that whole social dynamic really caused people some stress and anxiety.
No problem. We'll get someone right over there.
Thank you.
A welfare check is basically 911 dispatcher would dispatch an officer out to a location, and the officer would basically knock to see if someone comes to the door. They may walk around, look in the windows, looking for any reason for concern.
When the officer gets to Sean's apartment, someone answers his knock.
A man in his 50s opens the door.
It's Sean's boyfriend, Bernard.
You hear about Sean?
He expresses that he's worried about her.
He hasn't seen her since she left for work 4 days ago.
I hadn't seen her in a few days, but I already filed a missing person report.
We'll get you checked in, okay?
In Atlanta, Georgia, 56-year-old Sean Macklin was making the most of her newfound freedom.
When you become an empty nester, it's like your life restarts.
She was looking for a life where she can enjoy herself.
And she'd found the perfect man to grow older with.
He's charismatic, just what she needs now, someone to love on her.
She's successful, she's in love. They were looking forward to building their future.
I hadn't seen her in about 4 or 5 days.
But now Atlanta police are at the couple's apartment after Sean's daughter asked for a welfare check.
She hadn't heard from her mom. She speaks to her mom every single day.
And when Sean's boyfriend Bernard comes to the door, he says he tried to report her missing.
When was that?
A couple of days ago.
And that was the last time you saw her?
It was a couple of days before that.
He said that they had some personal issues going on.
Issues? What type of issues?
Hell, I just asked her to move out.
He said that he and Sean were in the process of splitting up.
He was given the apartment through his work, and so it was her who had to leave. And she agreed.
We still care about each other, but you know it's for the best.
I found an apartment.
He said that she actually was already packing her stuff and preparing to move.
According to Bernard, that's one reason it took him a couple days to call the police and report her missing.
He says on Friday the 6th, Sean got up at her usual time to get ready for work.
I'll be out of here soon.
All right. I can help you move your stuff if you need me to.
Thanks. I'm off to work.
And then she left for work after that.
And that was the last time you saw her?
Yeah.
Bernard says he went back to bed and he didn't get up until it was time for him to go to work.
But he says that when he got home, Sean wasn't there.
Sean didn't come home that night, and Bernard thought maybe she spent the night at a friend's house.
But then the weekend came and went with no sign of her.
It wasn't until Sunday when he started getting worried.
He noticed that her SUV had been parked in the same spot as it was on Thursday night. That's what prompted him to call the police because he thought something was wrong.
I called the cops. They came out, but they didn't believe me.
I called 911 to say, hey, I'm concerned about her.
After the officers looked around, they said that they didn't see anything wrong.
Did I get a good number?
Especially after he explained that Sean was in the process of moving out.
But the officer conducting the welfare check isn't as willing to let things go.
After all, Bernard wasn't the only one who hadn't heard from her.
Had you tried contacting her daughter?
Well, she hasn't made contact with Trace. That's why I'm here.
She
haven't contacted Tracy? Something must be wrong.
Let me make contact with the detectives and I'll be in touch.
After talking to Bernard, the officer passes the information off to detectives.
First, he confirmed that he had called the police and attempted to report her missing.
In fact, they even find body cam footage from the encounter.
Have you heard anything from her?
Yes, sir. That's why I called.
In the video, he explains the impeding breakup and how she's moving out.
Look around. Oh, go ahead. Look. Stuff haven't moved since then?
No, sir. And that was my concern.
With little else to go on, the officer's hands are tied.
I looked at the arrest record. She's not showing up on that either, as well as any hospital.
But based on what they've learned from Sean's daughter and Bernard, investigators certainly feel the situation merits a missing persons report.
Yeah, that seems kind of strange.
We'll take it from here. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
The detectives started by issuing a subpoena for Sean's cell phone records.
They know the phone records will show where she's been, if she's used the phone at all. It will ping her location.
Then the detectives follow up at the doctor's office where Sean works.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, hello, how are you? Her boss explains that everyone loves her. She's a joy to work with.
She says that Sean is incredibly reliable and a hard worker.
She also says that Sean rarely ever calls in sick.
She always went to work on time.
So it was very surprising and shocking when she didn't show up and didn't call.
I tried to reach out to her Friday.
Sean's manager said that they sent text messages during the morning hours and then stated they tried to call during the afternoon. But the phone went straight to voicemail.
She never called you back?
No, which was really unlike her.
So now detectives are curious. Did Sean talk much about her personal life at work?
Her manager says that she was pretty private.
That is, until recently.
She started opening up about issues she was having with Bernard.
They were going through a breakup.
And according to her manager, Sean and Bernard were not on good terms.
This contradicted what Bernard had told detectives.
The manager also said that one big issue stood out.
He was evicting her.
Give me my phone!
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Sean Macklin have learned that her boyfriend, Bernard Stokes, was trying to evict the 56-year-old office manager from their apartment.
The breakup was not as amicable as Bernard had painted the picture.
Her manager actually stated Sean requested Monday off so that she can go to court to deal with the eviction.
Which is one reason Sean's manager wasn't too worried when she didn't show up at work on Friday.
I just thought she took off because, she was trying to find a place or something.
But then she says she received a strange call at the office on Monday.
Bernard called and asked for Sean.
She thought it was strange that he would call her job looking for her when he knew that she was supposed to be in court with him.
I had no idea she was missing.
Well, thank you, ma'am, for your time.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
By the time detectives return to the station from Sean's workplace, the phone records they've requested are waiting for them.
They noticed she hasn't made any outgoing calls since Thursday, the 5th.
But there's several incoming calls, including calls from Bernard and Tracy.
That alone will cause detectives some concern.
However, the incoming call data does allow detectives to track Sean's movements.
The phone companies can tell detectives what location or what tower that person was near.
The phone pinged off of 2 towers.
The first ping was an hour southwest of Atlanta, in the small town of Grantville.
After it pinged in Grantville, it pinged again in Fairburn, Georgia. Now, Fairburn is halfway between Atlanta and Grantville.
So it seems like Sean goes to Grantville and starts making her way back to Atlanta.
And this was 7 hours after Bernard said that he last saw Sean.
And after that, the phone went dead.
It would be alarming if you're saying that the person is missing and then you see activity cease.
But do the phone records mean something happened to Sean? Or that she'd even gone to Grantville?
Someone else could have been in possession of the phone.
Hoping for more information, the detectives contact Sean's daughter, Tracy.
Hello?
They asked if her mother knew anybody in Granville.
I don't think so. She rarely knows anyone outside of work, as far as I know. Why?
Well, her phone pinged there recently.
What?
She was already worried about her mom, and now it's even more.
She also told detectives that she's been doing a little digging on her own.
She was able to log into her mom's emails.
And what she found was troubling.
There was no activity since the 5th. There were several important emails that she didn't answer, and one was an approval for a new apartment.
The message was never opened.
Based on the phone activity and the unopened emails, the detectives believe Sean went off the grid sometime Friday.
Detectives asked Tracy, was there anyone who would want to harm your mom?
And that's when she said she was afraid something like this might happen.
What do you mean?
Well, I didn't want to say anything to begin with because I was hoping it was nothing.
But now, Sean's daughter reveals the awful truth.
Bernard was actually abusive towards her mother.
Are you sure?
Well, that's what she said.
Tracy says it started when her mother became suspicious of Bernard.
Where he's working as a maintenance man. He'll be in their houses for hours. So Miss Macklin would sometimes find it interesting that these women would want to cook for him. Wanted him to come by just to check.
Sean went through Bernard's phone looking for other women's messages and texts.
And it turned out that her suspicions may have been justified.
He was talking to another woman.
The hell are you doing?
And when Sean confronted Bernard about it, he turned violent.
Give me my phone. Give me my phone.
Tracy says that he actually broke Sean's arm.
Give me my phone!
And allegedly, the boot that she had on her foot was also because of him.
Did you ever witness him being violent?
No.
Have you ever heard him threaten her?
Not exactly.
But Tracy does say that her mother was growing increasingly afraid of Bernard.
She even took out a life insurance policy.
Tracy also said that her mother obtained a carry permit and got a gun.
According to her daughter, that's why she'd started looking for a new place.
But she didn't want to leave before having somewhere else to go.
I told her just to get out, go to a shelter if she have to. But she said she would be okay.
So at this point, Tracy is afraid that Bernard really harmed her mom.
The detectives are starting to think so too.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
When they look into his background, they realize that there had been domestic calls made several times to the apartment.
Now, when police were called to come to Sean's and Bernard's house, they were all verbal arguments.
There isn't any evidence of physical abuse, including the injuries that Tracy claims her mom sustained.
But does that mean that what Sean told her daughter isn't true?
Domestic violence happens behind closed doors and not always is reported.
And in instances where the police will come, nothing will happen because the abuser is so good at hiding and disguising what is actually going on.
However, there are some things that Bernard can't hide from the detectives.
He has a litany of charges.
But what is most shocking is that in 1992, he was convicted of murder.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Sean Macklin have just learned that her boyfriend Bernard has been previously convicted of murder.
In the 1992 murder, he killed his roommate.
At first, he says he murdered his roommate out of self-defense, thinking that the roommate was an intruder.
He told an entire story. How he heard noise, he grabbed a gun, and shot this person by mistake.
It might have worked, if not for one thing.
I'm leaving. Y'all need my money. I don't have your money. I'm leaving. You're not leaving, going anywhere. How you gonna try to make you?
His roommate had a feeling that he was going to do something to him. So what his roommate did was put a recorder in his pocket.
And the recorder told a very different story than the one Bernard gave police.
They actually had an argument. They were arguing about him moving.
This was a dispute over rent.
During this argument, he's asking Stokes questions. Why do you have that gun in your hand? What are you gonna do with that gun? And you can hear the gun go off.
The recording even captured Bernard attempting to cover up the crime.
911, what's your emergency? Stokes calls 911, tell 911 that he believes that someone was trying to break into the home, and he mistakenly shot this roommate.
The tape was more than enough to put Bernard away.
He took that case to trial, he lost, and he was convicted.
He served more than 20 years in prison before being released on parole.
And now that Sean is missing, the detectives wonder if Bernard is making a second attempt at getting away with murder.
When he was caught the first time, he had all these years to kind of think about the mistakes that he had made.
After uncovering Bernard's prior conviction, the detectives reach out to his parole officer.
His PO says that since he's been released, he has been mild-mannered and he's trying to get his life together.
The parole officer also says that Sean knew about his past.
Sean was aware of this murder, and she was trying to help him. She had a loving heart. You know, she wanted to see him succeed.
That says a lot about her personality, right? She may have just believed in him, or maybe she wanted really to believe in love that bad to where she would kind of look past even murder.
But had her faith in Bernard ended up costing Sean her life?
Just because Bernard's parole officer speaks highly of him does not mean that he would not kill again.
Hoping to find out, the detectives head to Bernard's apartment with a search warrant.
How's it going? We got a warrant to search your apartment.
When detectives confront Bernard, he doesn't shy away from his criminal background, nor does he shy away from the domestic calls.
But he does say that Sean was the instigator.
She's jealous, she's controlling. She even tried to call my kid's mom and threaten her. It was crazy.
He definitely tried to make himself into the victim.
According to Bernard, that's why they were splitting up.
He said he just got tired of Sean's jealousy.
When she tried to stall it, she said she had to wait till she get her place.
That's why he had no choice but to file the eviction.
The detectives have their doubts, though.
Eviction wasn't the only way to get rid of Sean.
So she just left? Yeah. And I'm not lying about her. Look here.
He tells detectives he has a video, and you can see how Sean was.
He actually recorded the last argument they had.
The video is only a few seconds long, but you can hear Sean yelling at Bernard from the bathroom.
I don't give a damn. Shit, that's what I'm saying. You do them, but take it out on me. I ain't taking nothing out on you. I don't want to take your life out on you. It's your life. You do.
And Bernard explains that this is a clear indication that she was alive and well the morning of her disappearance.
He says this happened moments before she left for work.
But is it the proof Bernard claims it is?
And do you know where she went after she left?
No.
He told him it was none of his business since they were broken up.
And he also says that he went back to sleep after she left for work on Friday morning. And he didn't leave the apartment until it was time for him to go to work, which was around 8 a.m.
That's what Bernard claims, but the detectives aren't willing to take his word for it.
Well, we're gonna take a look around. Hang tight.
And since they have a search warrant, there's nothing he can do to stop them from looking around.
They also luminol the apartment.
Luminol is a chemical that can reveal where someone has cleaned up bloodstains.
At first, the results are disappointing.
That's until they get to the bathroom.
And when we luminol the bathroom, you could see blood.
Detectives investigating Sean Macklin's disappearance have just found evidence of blood in the apartment she shared with her boyfriend, Bernard Stokes.
Luminol reveals that there is splatters of blood in the bathroom.
You could see blood smears on the bathroom handle, the bathroom sink, and also on the floor.
There's also blood on the molding and a comb on the counter.
It's not enough to prove that anyone was killed in the bathroom, but it is quite suspicious.
Hey, Bernard.
When detectives ask Bernard about the blood, he says he has no idea how it got there.
However, given all they knew about Bernard's criminal past and his alleged abuse of Sean, the detectives didn't believe him.
All right, we're gonna have you come down to the precinct with some more questions. We'll meet you down there.
It's fine.
But before they head back to the station, the detectives stop by the apartment complex's management office.
They want to see the surveillance video, the hours surrounding Sean's disappearance.
When they review the video, they get the first evidence that Bernard is lying.
First of all, they're able to see Sean the evening before her disappearance.
On November 5th, around 7 p.m., you see on surveillance video, she exits her car and she goes into her building.
But they never see her leave again.
And there's no chance she could have left out a different exit?
No, we have 17 cameras. It'd have showed up if so.
You roll forward to the next morning?
Sure.
However, the cameras do capture Bernard leaving early the next morning.
They see Bernard leave the apartment on the 6th at 6:52 a.m.
Earlier, in his statement to police, he said he didn't leave till 8 that morning.
And the lie isn't the only thing the cameras catch.
We see him kind of back his pickup truck to the trash compactor area, and the bed was empty.
Unfortunately, the cameras don't pick up what happened.
But when he pulls back out 20 minutes later, there's several items in the bed.
One of the items that they see is a big box.
Where did this box come from? And why does he have it?
For detectives, the answer is simple.
Her body was in that box.
In his hallway, there's no cameras that lead to the compactor where we believe he drug her body before he backed his truck in and picked the body up and put it in the truck.
Bernard then leaves the complex and doesn't return until 4:30 that afternoon.
And guess what's missing from the truck? That big box.
And when he gets out of the truck, Bernard is also wearing different clothes than he had on when he left.
So where did he go for 7 hours? What happened to the stuff in the bed of his truck? And why is he wearing different clothing?
Detectives believe there may be a way to answer at least some of those questions.
Detectives place a trace on his license plate for the truck.
The trace allows detectives to go through the reams of data collected by traffic cameras and license plate readers scattered throughout Metro Atlanta.
You just simply can't get away with murder anymore. We have too much technology.
After requesting the data, the detectives sit down with Bernard.
They want to see if Bernard's going to be honest.
Detectives ask him, what did he do in the moments after Sean left?
Unaware of what detectives have uncovered, Bernard sticks to his story.
I told you after she left, I went back to sleep and I didn't get up to about 8 a.m.
So detectives press him and ask him, did he go outside? And he says no.
You never left the apartment at all?
No, I was in bed.
Detectives then let him know, we saw you on camera, and then he explains, finally, oh yeah, I went out to go get a cigar.
Detectives don't believe him at all.
So detectives try to appeal to Bernard's compassion.
He must have loved Sean. Don't you want to help us find her?
Of course.
He acknowledges he cared about her and he wouldn't do anything to hurt her.
But then he reveals something that is very interesting to police.
He tells detectives that he believes Sean and her daughter organized her disappearance.
Why would they do that?
To get back at me, I guess.
He said Sean was mad that he was kicking her out.
And you didn't have anything to do with it.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
But the detectives are about to call his bluff.
So, you don't have a problem taking a polygraph test?
And that's when he shuts down.
He does not want to talk anymore.
Looks like I'm gonna need a lawyer.
Suspected of killing his missing girlfriend, Sean Macklin, 57-year-old Bernard Stokes is now refusing to say more to detectives without an attorney.
He stopped talking as soon as the detective suggested that he take a polygraph.
It's enough to convince the detectives that he's lying.
We know that they were going through problems. She was leaving him. And so, as we know, an indicator of homicide is when the victim of the domestic violence finally decides to leave.
However, something is still missing.
You have a murder case without a body.
Which is why the detectives had high hopes for the license plate recognition data.
And when they receive the results of the trace, they get a clear picture of where Bernard went the morning Sean disappeared.
Bernard left Atlanta and headed to Grantville.
Exactly where Sean's phone pinged.
2 hours later, he was recorded in College Park, a few miles from where Sean's phone last pinged.
Then they pick up his truck in Riverdale at a store.
Through surveillance, we watch him buy new men's clothes, going into the men's bathroom, changing those clothes from the clothes that he had on from when he left the apartment, and then throwing those clothes into the dumpster.
But unfortunately, even with a detailed plot of Bernard's movements that day, detectives still come up short.
They never found her body.
Other than the hits of following him through the course of him driving throughout Georgia, we don't know what he did. That is something that's still a mystery to us.
Bernard, stand up.
Despite that, the detectives place Bernard under arrest for murder.
Phone data, the license plate, the blood in the bathroom, and the surveillance video was enough evidence to make a good case.
But without Sean's body, will it be enough for a conviction when Bernard goes on trial in October of 2023?
These cases are often very hard to prosecute.
That's a very difficult climb because you have jurors wondering, do you really know if this person is dead or not?
I'll be out of here soon.
When they lay out their case, the prosecutors contend that Bernard and Sean got into an argument because she was leaving him.
She got approved for her apartment the day that we believe this disagreement happened. Mr. Stokes knew that.
So you think you're just gonna move out?
I thought that's what you wanted.
It's possible that his goal in evicting Sean was another attempt at maintaining control. And when she did not beg for him back, when he lost that control, he couldn't take it.
The prosecutors admit that they don't know exactly how he killed Sean.
But they argue that her body was in the box Bernard hauled away from his apartment the morning she disappeared.
The prosecution also argues that Bernard only reported Sean missing to cover his tracks.
In addition, and this is how sneaky he was, he actually called Miss Macklin's phone and left voicemails on her phone to cover it up.
You coming home tonight or what? It's late.
When it's the defense's turn, Bernard says that he'd been just as desperate to find Sean as anyone.
Bernard maintained his innocence throughout the trial.
But Bernard's claims make little impression on the jury.
Even without a body, the jury believes that the evidence is sufficient to convict Bernard.
He didn't think that people would take all the steps necessary that would be required to prove him guilty of murder. And, we did.
He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
It's a welcome relief to those wanting to see Bernard off the streets.
When the judge sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole, it was even better. Because we know that he doesn't even have a chance, like he did for the 1992 murder, to get out and hurt anyone else.
But the prosecutors also see Sean's story as a warning to others.
Something that stuck with me in this case was that she stayed because she wanted to wait until she was secure enough to leave. I wish she had left.
It also continues to haunt the family and friends that Sean left behind.
It's challenging because they never found the body. When we're thinking about grief, when we're thinking about closure, without having a body, having a memorial, it doesn't allow you to process your emotional experiences.
And for her daughter, Sean's loss means that her children will grow up without their grandmother.
Grief is tricky. It'll sneak up on you when you least expect it. So when grief comes out of nowhere, you flow with it. You process it. Find the different tools to help you connect to the loved one, to the memories. Process your emotional experiences. That way you don't get stuck in the quicksand.
Sean was a good woman who raised her daughter, who built a career and worked hard for herself. She thought she was lucky to find love again in her 50s.